So a bunch of you beautiful human beings sent me this fantastic article from Football Outsiders, and we're going to dissect it. What is up, Finn fans? Before anything, I'm not recording a video tomorrow, so I want to say happy Easter to everyone who celebrates Easter. Hope you guys have a fantastic time with your family. I'm heading all the way upstate New Jersey, about an hour drive, spend time with my family. So unless news breaks, you'll get a video tomorrow. But other than that, you're probably not getting a video tomorrow because it's a holiday. So I hope you guys have a fantastic Easter, and happy Easter to everyone who celebrates, and to everyone who doesn't, I hope you guys have a happy and fantastic Sunday. And also shout out to a new member in Winston Reynolds. Thank you so much, brother, for joining the membership. If you want to join the membership, it's the join button next to the subscribe button. And if you want to become a patron, it is linked in the description. So a few of you guys sent me this article called Tua Tagovailoa's Tale of the Tape. And it's from Football Outsiders. Let me beat around the bush a little bit here and minimize myself. Football Outsiders, right? So we're going to dissect kind of what they're talking about in this article. And they go into some deep details on some of the Tua's stats. Now, if you are a Tua fan, I guess I'm just going to call it from now on, there's going to be some information in here for you. And if you are not a Tua fan, there's going to be some information in here for you. It's not for one or the other. This isn't a type of article that's just made for Tua fans to make them happy and to prove a point. And it's not an article made for Tua non-fans to prove a point that he's not the guy. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I don't know how long it's going to be. We're going to go through this article. But you can see right here, there is an acronym for DVOA and DYAR. So DYAR stands for Defensive Adjusted Yards Above Replacement. So, and I had to look it up, but essentially, think of it as the adjusted yards and the adjusted snaps that you would get if you didn't play. So essentially, they used an example of like a starting running back essentially is going to get 300 carries for a certain amount of games. Those snaps and those carries are going to be divvied up between his backup, between the defense, because obviously without your starter in there, it's not going to be as easy to get first downs and all that stuff. So that's essentially, it stands for Defensive Adjusted Yards Above Replacement. And DVOA stands for Defense Adjusted Value Over Average. And essentially what that means is measures a team's efficiency by comparing success on every single play to a league average based on situation and opponents. So essentially, in a nutshell, DVO is a method of evaluating team, units, or players. It takes every single play during the NFL season and compares each one to a league average based on the situation. It does everything. Red zone, 3rd and 12, everything. So now that I got those little acronyms out of the way, let's jump into the article. So it starts off by saying perhaps those arguments are... essentially this, right? To talk about truthers, raise some valid points. Take this Finney fella, he's clearly onto something, or at least on something, and he's talking about Tua and on. And then perhaps those arguments are a teensy bit pleading. But Tagovailoa, I'm just going to say Tua, just make it short. But Tua finished 18th in both DVOA and DYAR last season. Not bad at all for a second-year quarterback. The Miami Dolphins passing game earned a DVOA rating of rating over 20% in 4 of the 7 games after Tua returned from a mid-season kind of sort of quasi-injury benching, a sign that Tua may be turning the development corner. I love this. Love that. Because what the flip was his rib injury, where they put him on injured reserve for 3 weeks, and what the flip was the Texans and Ravens game. That's where a lot of Tua fans and a lot of, Tuanon and Tua stands were getting very upset with Brian Flores because he wanted to come back into the game. Brian Flores himself even said in the Buffalo Bills game, Tua was trying to come back in. I told him no, da-da-da-da. And then they put him on IR. Better be safe than sorry, or what? But they put him on IR, right? I don't think he should have went on IR. I think it probably would have been like, the kid played against LSU a week after getting ankle surgery. I'm pretty sure he would have been fine to play. And then with the finger injury, he was good enough to be the backup against the Houston Texans, but not good enough to start. And then he was good enough to be the backup against the Ravens, but not good enough to start. And then Jacoby Brissett gets injured. Tua goes in, actually does well, and then Brian Flores tells Jacoby Brissett to sit down. So I thought that was kind of funny. He's a kind of sort of quasi-injury benching. Sure, Tua appeared to be propped up by an RPO incentive dink and dunk heavy system in 2021, which a lot of people don't like. He also had a knack for crushing interceptions, but his extenuating circumstances, I'm surprised I got that out, were really extenuating. The Dolphins' offensive line ranked 30th in adjusted line yards and needed all of the quick passing to rank 19th in adjusted sack rate. So again, without that type, and this is what people don't understand, right? Everyone's like, oh, he's a dink and dunker. Tua can't throw past 5 yards. It's not that he can't. It's that he was in a system that it needed to happen. The Dolphins offense ranked 29th in rushing DVOA, leaving them playing behind the sticks while forcing their quick game to supplement their rush game. So again, Tua can't throw at 5 yards, but the reason they were throwing those quick passes, slants, and everything was to try to stay a rush game. And while the details of Brian Flores' allegation against the Dolphins and the NFL are beyond the scope of this article, good, thank God, and therefore probably won't dominate the comment threads, his dueling offensive coordinators and quick hooks hardly made his quarterback whisperer. Made him a quarterback whisperer. Flores has been replaced by the adorkable Who wrote this? Mike Tanier. Great writing. The adorkable Mike McDaniel, a Kyle Shanahan disciple with a quarterback-friendly personality and scheme. Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead headline a productive Dolphins offseason, particularly on the offense. So are the Tua truthers right, or are they just engaging in typical local fan wishing casting about a prospect whose career is listing sideways? Let's see if there's any awkward lurking somewhere in the numbers. Let's do it. That intro, or whatever you want to call it, was fantastic. So Tua Tagovailoa, the RPO man. Any discussion of Tua's performance or the 2021 Dolphin offense in general must begin with the run-pass option. The Dolphins used the run-pass option concept 13% of their pass plays last season, easily the highest rated in the league. That's where all the data came from. Tua himself attempted 77 RPO passes, the third highest total in the NFL, completing 53 of them for 559 yards. As walkthrough discussed in our Matt Corral feature a few weeks ago, the RPO is often used as a crutch for a quarterback who had little idea what he is doing. But it can also be a tactic for mitigating a horrible offensive line, or as jabbing an offense, or as a jab for an offense that's perfectly capable of throwing some haymakers. As a result, the top 5 teams in the RPO as a percentage of plays in 2021 was a decisive bunch. We'll see. We'll use adjusted net yards / attempts to get a sense of how successful each team was at executing the RPO. So these were the top 5 teams that ran the RPO. Dolphins obviously were number 1 at 13. Pitt was number 2, 11.4. Green Bay, 10.5. Kansas City, 10.4. And Buffalo at 8.3. And you could see the most successful teams were Miami and Buffalo. And then it was Buffalo, Miami, Green Bay, Kansas City, and Pitt was at the bottom. Steelers used the RPO to conceal the fact that their offensive line was embarrassing and that Ben Roethlisberger was held together with duct tape and rubber bands. As the NEA figure above illustrates, no one was fooled. Again, 4.6. The Packers, Chiefs, and Bills, on the other hand, had a pretty good quarterback and offense. They used the RPO as a counterpunch, which they played a lot of two deep shells against them. So again, they played the two deep shells, they threw it underneath and get the yak off of it. All three ranked in the top 10 of rushing attempts from an RPO concept, a sign that was facing reduced boxes. Again, you have a deep threat from these three teams. You got two single high safeties, not a lot in the box. You can hand the ball off in the RPO as a red zone tactic. So when are the Dolphins doing? So what were the Dolphins doing? Protecting Tua from his awful offensive line, no doubt. Covering for his relatively inexperience at times, yes, 100%. But they were also enjoying relative success with the tactic, with a higher NEA rate than the Packers and the Chiefs. Many other teams that use the RPO frequently, such as the Chargers, Eagles, and Colts. So again, the reason he's saying that the Dolphins use the RPO so much is because they had the success. But they also used the RPO to try to mitigate the horrible offensive line and also, like he said, protect Tua from his awful offensive line, covering for his relative inexperience at time. Second-year quarterback. The numbers suggest that the numbers, you're going to have to bear with me, my dyslexia. I do apologize. The numbers suggest that we should not write Tua off simply because he threw a few more RPO passes than Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Being skilled at making easy reads and delivering quick, accurate passes is, after all, a good thing. But those cannot be the only thing a young quarterback is good at. Being skilled at making easy reads and delivering quick, accurate passes is a good thing, but not the only thing. We need to take a deep look. We need to do it. I might cut that out, but hey, it's me. It's Doug, and I'm dyslexic. What we need to do is take a closer look at what Tua was doing when he wasn't just faking a handoff and flicking a short slant to Jalen Waller or Mike Gesicki. Please, let's find out. So beyond the RPOs, let's filter all the RPOs out of Tua's passing stats and take a look at where he ranked among quarterbacks with at least 100 passes attempts in 2021. So this is without RPO. So his completion percentage was 14th, 68.5. His yards per attempt were 31st with 6.6. His NEAs were 30th with 5.4, and his average throw depth was 7.1, 40th. Ew. This is red meat for the Tua skeptics. Again, that's why I said this article is for both Tua fans and Tua skeptics. Tua tied Roethlisberger and Jones with the average of 7.1 yards throw depth on RPOs. He's wedged between Tyler Heineke and Mike White in NEAs, with Taysom Hill just behind. This is some bad company. It is bad company. The numbers above suggest that even when the Dolphins weren't executing RPOs, their passing game was loaded with RPO-like substances, short, quick, non-nourishing tosses. There's also a lot of evidence to support the fact that Tua wasn't getting much support from his receivers. Interesting. I'm reading that. I just think that's interesting. Per Pro Football Reference, for example, the Dolphins averaged just 4.3 yards after catch per reception. That is the third lowest figure in the NFL, ahead of only the Ravens, Bills. The Dolphins' dropped passes rate was 5.7, ranked fourth in the NFL. In other words, Tua may have been forced to throw short passes to protect his offensive line, only for his receivers to either drop the pass, lowering his completion rate, or getting tackled immediately after catching, lowering his yards per attempt. If that's indeed what happened, Tua could indeed enjoy a breakout year now that Tyreek Hill has some running backs who can generate yak and have joined his arsenal and Teron Armstead anchoring his protection. But is that really what happened? Let's torture the numbers some more. So essentially in that tidbit, it shows that without the RPO, Tua wasn't great. It was actually pretty bad. But again, he also talks about how the Dolphins their receivers weren't helping him either, with 4.3 yards after catch, which is the third lowest, and dropping the ball being the fourth highest with 5.7. So like he said, you either dropping the ball, which is hurting your completion percentage, or you're not getting those extra yards, which is hurting your yards per attempt. Because that's what, Buffalo and all these guys who have these really great receivers are generating from. Tua Tagovailoa, press principle, and stick figures. Tua only attempted 96 non-RPO passes when pressured in 2021. On the other hand, that's a surprising low number, 28th in the NFL, for a young quarterback behind an objectively woeful offensive line. On the other hand, it shouldn't be surprising because the Dolphins' offense twisted itself in knots to avoid pressure, as most of the splits we have cited so far illustrate. Tua was horrible under pressure. It's there's no way to twist that. He wasn't great under pressure. His NEA of one ranked 32nd in the NFL. He threw 7 interceptions under pressure, tied for second in the NFL. All quarterbacks are worse under pressure than from a clean pocket. But Tua's issue was pronounced in a way that's not surprising for a young quarterback, but not encouraging either. Take the pressure and the crutch of the RPO away, and we start to see a slightly different quarterback that's still not a particularly effective one. So no pressure, no RPO, right? His completion percentage is third. It's ridiculous. His yards per attempt aren't great, 26. His NEA is average, 7.8, 17. His average depth is 6.8 yards. Not good. And again, this is with no pressure, no RPO. Tua threw 220 passes in the sample above. We have not driven off the sample size cliff. Tua still looks like Dinky McDunkstein. Oh my God. Dinky McDunkstein. Oh my God. Dinky McDunkstein. That is beautiful. But he's at least an effective Dinky McDunkstein who completes 3/4 of his passes and avoids turnovers. If Myles Gaskin eludes a few more tackles if 3 defenders didn't immediately convey on Jalen Waddle after a quick screen, if holding on to the ball for more than a nanosecond with an option, you get the idea. Let's get all the dink and dunks out of the data by focusing on passes beyond the sticks. Let's only focus on passes where Tua Tagovailoa is not pressured. Finally, let's mix in the RPOs back in so we don't graduate the data too finely. Throwing back the sticks naturally filters out some of the RPO filling to flatten out anyway. Here's what we get. They're good numbers, but it's the rankings that you're getting the noise from me. So completion percentage 54.6, 27th, yards per attempt 8.7, 27th, NEA 9.4 is 20th, and average throw depth is 13 yards, but again, that's 31st. Sorry, this is no better news to a truthers. That 20th overall finish in the NEA isn't terrible. It's just below Josh Allen. So it's just below Josh Allen and ahead of Mac Jones and Jalen Hurts, which is good news for, people who want Tua to succeed. Though it's also below Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones, and Davis Mills. Only Jimmy Garoppolo ranked below Tua in average throw depth among quarterbacks with 15-plus attempts in the splits. Also, Tua's high completion rate evaporates when he's forcing the ball a little further downfield. That's not good. Overall, the figures suggest that Tua was probably a quarterly? Yes, Doug. NFL starter in situations where the Dolphins' offensive line was doing its job and his success was dependent on a team doing something other than catching. On the bright side, the predictive value of non-pressured past the sticks passing is sketchy at best. We should probably not trust any split that rates Carson Wentz above Josh Allen. Agreed. Also, no matter how we shift sift through the data, Tua Tagovailoa always ranks near the bottom of the NFL in throw depth. Yes. Even if Tua had a noodle arm and his offensive line were historically bad, the Dolphins' reluctancy to let him rip once in a while would be a little extreme. Tua only threw 14 passes of 25-plus air yards last season, a reasonable minimum bench for what we would consider a bomb. Garoppolo threw 18 bombs. Drew Lock threw 19 in 6 appearances. Tyler Huntley threw 14 and 4. Justin Fields, a rookie behind a bad offensive line, threw 23. So that's not good. Tua completed 8 of those 14 passes for 328 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Those are excellent rate stats for that tiny sample size. We shouldn't hang our hats on 14 pass attempts, but it looks like he could have been a semi-capable deep passer if given a few more opportunities. With Tyreek Hill around, he'll get those opportunities. Okay. That's a big old chunk that we had to digest there. It's not good. They started to take things out, and they started to do different measurements here, and it didn't come up good. But again, he even says that you can't take much from this if they have Carson Wentz ranked above Josh Allen. But he's not very, and he even says, even if Tua had a noodle arm and his offensive line was historically bad, the Dolphins' reluctancy to let him rip once in a while would be a little extreme. It's a combination of things, but again, the numbers aren't looking good because as much as they do things and as much as they add and take things out, the average depth is always near the bottom. The Garoppoloization of Tua Tagovailoa. To recap, the 2021 Dolphins offense relied heavily on dink and dunk tactics, even when they were using RPOs at a league high frequency. Their reliance. I don't know if I'm going to edit that out. We'll see. Their reliance on short passes was abnormally high, even for a team with a bad offensive line and an inexperienced quarterback. An inability to generate yak limited the effectiveness of the Dolphins' short pass game and made Tua Tagovailoa stats and performance look worse than they were. So again, they relied on the short pass game, but their receivers couldn't get the extra yards from the short pass game. See how it's like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't? Whether despite of or because of all these factors, Tua produced a nearly league average DVOA, which is good. It's good for Tua. But when we try to isolate Tua from his environmental factors, we get a mixed message about his capabilities as a downfield passer, 100%. So we're stuck in a sort of circular argument that breeds fan theories and encourages sports talk, debate, informed and otherwise. This is the last, so you won't have to listen to me read anymore. What's certain is that the circumstances around Tua have improved in every way. The line is better, the playmaking core is better, the deeper, and the coaching staff behind better pedigree from an offensive standpoint. Tua should get more mileage out of short passes to Tyreek Hill, Chase Edmonds, and others, with Mike McDaniel designing 49ers-flavored game plans. He should have more time to throw the ball deep to Hill, Waddle, and others with Teron Armstead anchoring an upgraded offensive line. At the very least, Tua should benefit from the advantage Jimmy Garoppolo has enjoyed when he and his supporting cast have been healthy over the past 3 seasons. Garoppolo may be sitting on sitting by the curb with a "take me" sign on his back right now, but the Dolphins would not mind a ball control offensive capable of deep playoff run, led by a still young and affordable quarterback with room to grow. 100%. That's the thing that I'm getting the most, right, from what he just said is, if he is Garoppolo went to the Super Bowl and he had a deep playoff run this year in Mike McDaniel's offense. So if they can get that out of Tua, I'd like to win a playoff game for the first time in 21 years. I was a Tua skeptic in 2021, and I remain one. But a skeptic is someone who challenges the evidence, not some hater or naysayer. I appreciate skeptics. I ignore haters and naysayers. Well, I try to anyway. Despite some of the discouraging splits cited in the article, I'm sanguine about his future. Sanguine? In part because he doesn't fit the profile of a fading prospect with a stat profile full of fluff. If Tua ranked third in Yak instead of third from last, it would have been a sign that his league average DVOA was the result of his supporting cast. If his RPO data looked like the Steelers' RPO data, it might be a sign that the Dolphins coaches were desperately throwing tactics at the wall. But the Dolphins were better at the RPO than the Chiefs and the Packers, despite the fact that the defense had no reason to fear their deep game or their run game. The numbers suggest that Tua could be a very efficient and time-based offense with better game plan and better playmakers, both of which he now has. So Tua truthers have a point, so do Tua skeptics. As it almost always the case when we slog through the statistical splits. And the Dolphins have done everything imaginable to help Tua succeed in 2022. If he fails, it'll be Teddy Bridgewater time. And if he does something in between success and failure, the Dolphins possess 2 first-round picks in 2023. Even a hardcore truther will be able to figure out what happens next. Absolutely love that article. Thank you guys for sending it to me. Thank you guys. If you're still here, I'm at about 26 minutes recording this. If you are still here, thank you. I apologize for you sitting here listening to me read this. I'll put the article in the description. Hilarious. I love the names that he threw in there, Mike. Fantastic. I get where he's coming from, and this is what I'm saying with This Is the Year, right? Because he posts things that show Tua can do really good things, but was he held back? Like, he asks questions, and again, there's a difference between being a Tua skeptic and saying, can he do it? I don't think he can, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could. And Tua haters who say he can't, I never seen it, blah, 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 blah. You know who you are. And if you say, me, then that's you, because I'm not. Or if, just plain simple. If I say you know who you are and you ask me if it's you, then it's you. Because I'm not saying anybody specific. But if you fit in that category and you think it's you, maybe, if it quacks like a duck. But fantastic article. Thank you guys so much for sending it to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy these kinds of videos where we kind of go through articles and deep dive into them and go over stuff. This is Tua's year. He's got to show that he can take this offense and make something good out of it. But without, again, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I didn't waste your time and you're like, I don't feel like listening to Doug read. I do apologize for that. But I got so many videos planned. I just refilled my dry erase board with about 8 or 9 different videos and ideas. And those video ideas have quasi episodes within them. Like, one of them has about 22 episodes in it. So I got a lot of videos for you planned for you guys. So, but draft's coming up. We're getting there soon. I will be live for the draft. Well, on that, I hope you guys have a fantastic Easter. And again, if you don't celebrate Easter, I hope you have a fantastic Sunday. I will see you guys on Monday. But like usual, stay classy. And fins up.